All right, Big Mike on the mic. Pre-Como, July 23rd, caffeinating. Jorge calls me earlier than I wanted to get up, so I got to get up and caffeinate and get out there. So thanks, Jorge. Really appreciated that. Yeah, so here we are on El Toro after meeting the group. I got Super Dave in front of me. So if you don't know who Super Dave is, man, this guy, he's been around the OC for quite some time, and he pretty much can rip the legs off of just about anybody who shows up. Hey, there he goes. So, yeah, see the watts go up there a little bit. Attempting to stay on Super Dave's wheel. Jorge was there on my right-hand side. He didn't have pink socks on today, so, hey, good job there, Jorge. So, yeah, we're going up El Toro. Nothing super hard, nothing super easy, never as easy on Como. And, I just haven't been feeling 100%, but, I'm out there just trying to keep the legs spinning. So I've just upped the pace here, still on Super Dave's wheel. I'm figuring what a great wheel to be on, and it is. So we're continuing to spin up El Toro. You see some guys throwing some attacks down. There's a group up there of about 5 guys. I don't know if we ever caught those guys or not. Looked like Super Dave was going to go up there, but he didn't. It looked like Jorge was going to go up there too. So I managed. I'm like, hey, I'm up here towards the front. I'm going to sit in, going to throw some watts down. Got 700 watts there. So I'm just trying to do what I can with the engine I have now, which actually isn't all that great of an engine. But I get back up to Super Dave. He's spinning along. Obviously, it looks like we're super spinning, but when you've got 2x on the video, man, we all look amazing. We all look like amazing spinners. So, yeah, so I haven't been feeling super good. I think I've been trying to lose some weight. I think that's throwing me off a bit. It's always a combination of variables, never one specific thing necessarily. And, essentially I just don't have the threshold I used to have. So, yeah, you guys out there listening. So when I mean threshold, my 20-minute, functional threshold power is just not where it needs to be. After going to Italy and then trying to get rid of all that gelato and vino and pizza, I don't want to say I stopped eating, but I really limited my diet. I think that just sucked a lot of energy out of me. It's also hot out. That takes your energy off. And, I ain't getting any younger, right? So I guess none of us are. But yeah, we're just going up El Toro here, kind of the usual Como pace, if you will. You can see it yo-yos up and down. I'm going from gliding to 400 or 500 watts or 600 watts. I think earlier I hit 700 watts. I'm really trying to concentrate for the most part on my cadence again. I'm a real believer in this high cadence spin. And how that will just, how that really, from an aerobic standpoint, seems to make a ton of sense. And, you can do all the watching that you want of the tour, and you'll see these guys just really spinning like a bunch of mofos. I know they're little guys and they got little legs, and I'm a big guy and I got big legs, but I think physiologically the process, the idea here is pretty sound. So I'm trying to been trying to up my cadence, keep my cadence up, and hopefully the threshold power will come back. And my threshold's been off about at least a good 10% from my peak this year, anyways, and more than 10% off my peak from when I was younger. So we're getting ready to really put the hammer down here as we approach this climb to Cooks here. We're getting up close to the church or the cult, or it depends on how you want to look at things. But yeah, so we stomp on it here after we go up this little incline here, this little kicker next to the church off of Marguerite. Again, you can see the watts go up to a fair amount, and yeah, we're spinning along here, and I'm just trying to stay in the group and conserve as much power as I can to see how long I can last. I actually don't last that long, but I was pretty satisfied with my ride today. So yeah, I mentioned I feel like I'm off about 10%. So I actually went back and looked at Strava, and that's pretty darn close. So Your internal, if you've been an athlete for a long time, you get a good feel for, where you're at and what you're struggling with. And man, that 10% was pretty spot on when I look at my watts or watts per kilogram. And you might not think 10% is a ton, but it's a lot. Put a little bit in perspective. 10% on a 10-minute climb is a minute. I mean, you're just way out of touch there. I'm a minute behind on a climb. All right, it's going to be hard to make up a minute when you get back down to the flat. And if you think about it in terms of, say, the Tour, I mean, those guys are riding, 20 stages, 21 stages, 5 to 6 hours a day. It's 1,000 hours. No, 600 hours, roughly. Just do the rough math. 600 to 1,000 hours, 1,200 hours, roughly speaking. Multiply that by 60, so you're at about 7,000 minutes of racing. And would Froome win it by a minute? So, 1 out of every 7,000 parts to win the Tour. So 10% in any high-end athletic event is huge. I mean, Froome won by 1 out of 7,000 parts. I mean, you're talking, this is where indeed at the pro level, right, 100 grams makes a big difference, right, weight-wise. So there's a margin of victory for you if you want to check my math and just write down my napkin math there as I'm just rambling on here, watching guys ride. So we're continuing up El Toro here towards the approach on Cooks. And again, where I'm at with this is I'm sitting in and trying to pretty much save every watt and just get on some good wheels. And there's plenty of good wheels in Como Street. Actually some guys I haven't seen before. I think Tim here off to the right. James or Jim there in front of me. I think he's got a young son out there killing it. There goes Jorge again. He knows, man, this guy has just improved immensely. He knows when to go because the group's starting to go. And I think I really start to get dropped here. So I'm on this guy's pretty tall, pretty big guy. I was sitting on his wheel because he was giving me a good draft. We're on the downhill part here after that little kicker before Cooks. And I pretty much know I'm toast. Look, I get down in the drops. I'm trying to save energy. I'm not even pedaling here at this point. And guys are going by me. And I just really at this point I'm watching guys. I'm just watching the lead group go by, right? There's not much you can do when the threshold power is just not there. I've pretty much shot my watt, if you will, on my threshold. And yeah, we're right up here to Cooks, and you can see me. I start to back off, and I start going backwards, and guys go in front of me. So I've slowed things down a bit here as we get towards the top of Cooks. And what I managed to do is get in a decent group of guys, 6 or 8 guys, and we're all going about the same speed. But again, you know me, I'm looking at pedal cadence, and this group, not surprisingly, is more of a grinder group, right? So these guys probably could do better if they just spun a bit more. I mean, it even looks painful when you watch it like this, right? Going up at a slow cadence. And here I'm way down. I'm probably in my 30-tooth cog, might even be in my 32-tooth cog here, and trying to spin and keep my spin going as much as I can. And my watts really aren't that great. This guy on the left, I said hi to him. His name's Edwin. And Edwin, dude, man, look at this guy. He should be like a fullback on a college football team or a pro football team. Another big boy, even thicker than me, man. Look at this guy. He's got some thick old legs on him. But when you're big like this, your inclination is to muscle it, and it's really counterintuitive. The spinning, I feel much better when I spin, and I can see a few guys are actually spinning better than others. So we go through the little camelback there, and we hit it hard here towards the top of the climb before we get to the downhill. And I'm just kind of showing that the group splits up a little bit, but we managed to kind of stick together. I'm going downhill here, just showing, look what the draft can do. Again, you can get in that sweet spot in the draft, and boom, I'm not pedaling, and you can just fly by guys on a draft like that. Pretty cool stuff. There I am, out in the lead, doing my lead out on the downhill. So it's about the only time you'll see me on the front of the group is on a downhill, a slight downhill. Boom, go flying past that guy. So this group managed to hold itself together. Obviously, I've double X the speed here to just show us pulling through the canyon itself. Yeah, so when you're in a situation like this, one of the things I like to do is talk to these guys and organize them. A group like this won't self-organize in a way. What'll happen is the stronger guys will stay on the front and the weaker guys will just sit on the back, right, conserving energy. So what you have to do, what somebody has to do, and nobody does it, is you basically have to tell guys what to do. So there's a group of 6 or 7 guys here. We're pretty much all have the same threshold, functional threshold. And I can say that with a lot of confidence because we're all in the same group, right? We all got over the climb at about the same time, and we're all riding at about the same pace. So a little bit back there, what I essentially yell out that, hey, form a pace line and take short pulls. So you know what? They did it. And we worked together as a group. There's another group up there that's got about 4 or 5 guys in it. And my objective was to catch those guys. Now, we didn't actually catch them. We did at the end of dump, and I ran out of footage here, but we didn't catch them in the canyon. So we probably could have gone a little harder, but if you just watch the video here, you'll notice we're all doing a pretty good job of taking even short pulls and working together. Yeah, I got the gray beard there, man. Look like a horse. But yeah, you can see the same guys. We got ourselves in a decent pace line. We stayed organized. Now, it did take some work on my part to continue to talk these guys through that pace line. And as I'm in that pace line, I'm pretty much talking to all these guys and, telling them what to do. Now, I'm not the greatest pace line guy. There are guys that are a lot better than me that I ride with, I've ridden with on a regular basis. And it really takes a constant talking to each other as you're going through that pace line. And sometimes it can be a pretty harsh talking to because, some guys will go a little harder, some guys will try to suck wheel and conserve energy, and there's a give and take, right? And there's a flow. But this group, we actually worked pretty well together. Maybe because I was so adamant about us forming the pace line, and I kept encouraging them and giving them, and talking to them during this whole time. So you can see we've got a bunch of fairly even pulls there. We did pull time back on the group in front of us, which you can't really see. And then I think we actually lost a little time when we became a little bit disorganized on the downside of this little climb here before the lake. But yeah, I was really happy. We all worked well together. I was getting a great workout in. I was, you can see if you were watching, you can see when I get on the front, the watts go up, the pace goes up. As soon as I get around this guy, you back off a tad, the watts come down, your cadence comes down, and a guy comes around you. So this is actually pretty good pace lining for guys that don't ride together at all. I don't ride with any of these guys. I don't know any of them. Yeah, so as I end the video here, yeah, all these guys were willing to work together. It just makes the ride so enjoyable. We're coming up to the top of the climb here. I pretty much ran out of video footage. For the most part, we just ride, well, I just ride it into the top of dump and then down to Starbucks. Don't have any video footage of that, but again, my threshold's not where I want it to be, but a good ride all in all. This was a good group. Really appreciated riding with these guys. They all contributed, and again, I just really like riding in a group like that. I find it to be a lot of fun. Poor Edwin here. He had done a lot of work. He's pretty much gassed, and yeah, that's Como. All right, guys, later.